Well, you don't have to be a farmer and have a huge field to grow cotton. As a matter of fact, cotton is becoming more of an interesting crop to try in the garden. And joining us today is Dr. J.C. Banks, who is our state cotton specialist. And J.C., welcome to Oklahoma Gardening.
Thank you.
First of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about the cotton industry in the state of Oklahoma?
Well, cotton is grown on about 350,000 acres, primarily in southwest Oklahoma. We'll produce 250,000, maybe 300,000 bales per year. This year it's going to be a little bit lighter because of our adverse planting and early season growing conditions. Cotton is, well, one thing I like to tell to people when I talk to them is cotton is actually a perennial plant. It's a perennial plant that we're trying to grow as an annual, and to do this we have to really manage these plants to get maximum production out of them. As you're aware, annual plants, their primary function is to produce seed, and perennial plants like to develop a plant structure first before they start producing. So a lot of times we have to kind of trick these cotton plants to make them do what we want them to do.
Right. Now, when would the traditional time be in Oklahoma to plant cotton?
We like to get our cotton planted by around May 10th for our irrigated cotton. Our dryland people can go on into June. We like to get it all in the ground by June 15th or 20th.
Now, JC, you know that we have 4 different varieties here, and with all the rain this year, we weren't so fortunate to get ours planted in time. We planted ours July the 2nd, so we're going to cut it close. You said maybe a couple of the bottom bowls might produce even, but we have D. Ritter Red, Westburn M, and then we have a uniform brown lint and an Arkansas green lint. Those obviously are pretty non-traditional varieties. Tell us how they would differ from what the growers are using.
Okay, probably the only traditional type cotton that we grow is the Westburn M. Probably 85 or 90% of our acres in Oklahoma are planted to a stripper type variety like Westburn M. We also have picker type varieties of cotton that they like to plant a little bit earlier because they take a longer season to mature. Majority of our cotton is like the Westburn M.
Okay.
The D. Ritter Red and the brown cotton and the green cotton are kind of what we consider novelty cottons, although there's industry developing in West Texas and in California utilizing the brown cotton to actually make a certain type of material with.
Well, JC, why don't we come over here and you show us the different stages of flower production. I think that's very interesting.
Okay, this is a plant that we pulled up a little earlier, and cotton has a very predictable type of a growth pattern. We know where it is supposed to fruit. We know how the fruiting cycle is supposed to progress. We know that it first produces a square, later produces a bloom, later a green bowl, and then the green bowl opens up. And we can select most of these on one branch. When we map cotton, when we look at the cotton plant and see how it grows, we know that from past experience and past mapping that there's about 6 days from this point to this point, about 6 more days to this point, about 6 more days to this point. We also know that it takes about 3 days from here to here. So we can just about tell how the cotton has progressed through the season. The first thing that we'll see developing is a square. This is a larger square right here that's almost a bloom. Here's a good example of a real small square.
Okay.
This is about a match head square is what we call it. Okay, the square changes later to a bloom. This is a more advanced bloom here. Here's a bloom that bloomed last night.
Okay.
And the bloom is white in color the first day, and the second day it turns to a reddish pinkish color, and then the third day it dries up and drops off.
All right.
After the bloom, when the day that the bloom drops off, it's considered a green bowl. and the green bolls develop until they're a mature type of green boll. Then this dries down and opens up in the fall.
Okay. Why don't we take a look then at the finished product, what we're looking for over here, and see what we can come up with on some of the production there. Now, the green boll, JC, as I understand, how many days then before we're going to get to the actual product that we're looking for?
Of course, a green boll stays a green boll quite a while, about 50 or 55 days. But it eventually will start drying down and opening up.
Okay.
Now this is a plant that was taken from a cotton field around Altus, and this plant has it's older than these plants here. It's matured out, and it's had what we call a harvest aid material applied to it to take some of the leaves off of it and give us a whole lot higher quality lint.
Makes it a little easier to harvest, I guess, too,
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us about the parts of the actual boll then and how it's used to the finished product.
Okay. The boll has normally 4 or 5 locks of lint. You can tell this one had 4. And each lock will normally have 8 to 12 seeds plus the lint. And the seeds can easily be separated. We have something we call a cotton gin that does all the cleaning and separating for us. But these are the cotton seeds. And we'll talk more about the cotton seeds later, but these seeds have a variety of uses, a lot of uses that can be utilized in the garden.
Right.
The lint from the cotton gin is baled up into a bale. This is just a little miniature bale. The bales normally are about 4.5 foot tall, and they weigh about 500 pounds.
Now, you brought along a chart why don't you show us here the jeans? That's an interesting step, and tell us how many of those it takes for jeans, etc.
Okay, one 480-pound bale of cotton will produce about 330 pairs of jeans. Okay, the farmer receives about 94.5 cents for his cotton that goes into that pair of jeans.
Well, that's very interesting, JC. Now, here we have some of the brown and green lint we talked about. Why don't you show us those and maybe kind of show us some more of the end product?
Okay, this is the brown lint, and this was harvested again on some small plots in the Altus area.
And this is what we would end up with, is that right?
And this is some material that was woven from brown lint in Littlefield, Texas, at a denim mill.
Okay, and they're not using any dyes in this, is that correct?
They use no dye in this material. And one unique thing about the brown material here is that the longer it fades and the older it gets, the darker brown it gets. So it fades to a darker brown instead of to a lighter.
So that's
color.
why the popularity is kind of increasing there. Now, this would have come from the white lint?
Yes, this is a normal denim, like we've always had, that comes from the white lint that goes through the weaving and dyeing process at the same mill that made this.
All right, now this is just the green, a little bit different shade than the brown.
Yes, this is the green cotton. Again, these cottons are fairly low quality cottons. The green is a little bit more intense down in this area, but it doesn't have the fiber length and the fiber strength that normal cotton would have.
Okay.
Probably denim is about the only material that you can make with this.
Now, JC, let's get back to the seeds. Why don't you show us some of those there and tell us the, I guess, byproducts then of the seed, which gardeners should be very interested in.
The cotton seeds, of course, they come out of the locks of cotton, and there are about 850 or so pounds of seed for every 480-pound bale of cotton. Okay, the cotton seed normally goes to an oil mill to be extracted. The primary product from the cotton seed is cottonseed oil, but we, like anything, we have a lot of byproducts.
Right.
And the inside of the seed, after the crushing, gives us cottonseed meal.
Okay, now we've got some of that over here. the cottonseed meal. So that's after the oil is extracted, we get
Right.
this stage here. Now, JC, I wanted to mention here too that that product right there is 7% nitrogen as an average, 2.5% phosphorus, and 1.5 potassium. So for a gardener, and of course I know rosarians who incorporate it in their planting beds, it's a great slow release fertilizer in the garden. Now, there's also another product or byproduct from the seed too,
Yeah,
right?
there's actually 2 more byproducts. One of them is the fuzz that's on the outside of the seed. Now there's not much fuzz, but when it's taken off, it's called linters, and these linters are used in a lot of different applications, from explosives to plastics.
Okay.
So this is also utilized.
Now the hull of the seed?
And then, well, this is the fuzz on the hull of the
Right.
seed.
But then
Okay. The hull of the seed is cottonseed hulls here.
Right.
Again, a very good organic mulch.
Right. Now we use that in our garden as a mulch around all of our annuals, and we've even started using it on our vegetables. And it too is going to have some nitrogen properties. From time to time we'll see a cotton plant sprout in it, but real easy to pull up. But one thing, JC, we noticed last year at the end of the season, about now, when we tilled it under with the annual plants, next spring we had a higher earthworm population in those beds where we had used that. So we've had a lot of success, and it packs down, and the campus, I understand, uses it because when people put out their cigarettes, it really won't burn, it smolders. So they use it as a mulch and it won't blow away. So a lot of good products. Now one more, nothing goes to waste, does it, from the
That's
plant?
right.
That you were telling me about the, what do they shred that up as well?
Of course, the seeds themselves are, the plants themselves are shredded at the end of the season. But in our stripper cotton, this burr material is left at the gin, and this is spread back on fields. We have one gin in southwest Oklahoma that is composting the gin trash.
Right.
And it really does make a good compost.
Well, JC, you've given us just an eye-opening discussion here on the process, and I tell you, gardeners really benefit from this crop as well, and I've found that the byproducts are very easy to get a hold of, and especially those that are living down around the cotton growing areas are going to have a lot of access. So, JC, thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you. Enjoyed being here.